Hi, I'm Everett and welcome back to the shop. We're getting closer to the end of the shaper rebuild process. Believe me, I want to see it throw chips as much as you do because I do have a few projects in mind for it. Now, as we're getting near the end, what was interesting is going through the process, I wasn't sure how I would be doing some of the parts as far as is missing a few parts, even from when I got it. And then a fellow by the name of Tony Ray over in England gave me an email and mentioned that he had some spare parts if I wanted them. So I said, sure, that'd be awesome, thank you. Well, I was just asking for knobs originally because the machine was missing some of the knobs for the doors and such. And so I get this little package in the mail, and he was very generous in sharing. So I got a little bit of mail here to show from what's come in the last couple of weeks. And so yeah, the control knob, or the knob for the tool feet up top, this one's got a bit of rust and such on it, but we're gonna clean that up. But at least it has this end, whereas the one on my machine that came with it is missing this end. So I wasn't sure what I would be doing, whether I'd be repairing the other one or what, but this solves my problem for me. As well, I now have enough knobs to finish putting the doors and stuff back on, and yeah, and the little spring clips. I'll have to fix one spring clip, and I'll use that on the door that isn't open as often. But I mean, this is huge. I mean, this pretty much this means I don't have to figure out how to make a knob to fit this thing. These are original knobs, so that was awesome. And the machine never came with a little pointer for the stroke indicator. Again, this one's rusty, kind of like the downfeed knob on the tool post, or the tool post head. But again, we'll clean these up and they'll work just fine for what we need. So again, I know I've been emailing back and forth with you, Tony, but just thank you so much. This is seriously huge for me. So thank you. You saved me a pile of time in trying to figure out how to make parts. I still have to figure out how to make some of the other bits that are missing or damaged, but this saves me a pile of time. So thank you very much. Another thing that came in within the last couple of weeks is a package from Anthony Brown at Ragsdale Creek Workshop. He sent me this nice little box, and I mean, totally unexpected. Nice handwritten note, and he shared with me some of the stuff that he had, and which is huge. Thanks, Anthony. I know you're still building your shop and such, so I appreciate the generosity. He sent some brazed carbide tool bits. This one here has still got the plastic goo on the end. Protectant stuff, and that'll make a nice chamfer tool. A nice lathe turning tool with a bit of clearance ground on it. He also sent it was in a little box. I put some batteries in it. A little flashlight. You can never have too many of these flashlights, especially in a home shop, because things are dull or dim. Another little tool bit, can of metal. As well as he sent me a number of these spade drill inserts. I think 4 or 5 of these guys, and I don't have a holder for them, but what I intend to do is kind of like what James Deadman did on his channel, Saw Logs Plastic Hubs. Anthony sent him some of these as well, and so like Jim, I'm at some point going to have to make a shank for running these, because I can see how these would be very handy. So that was cool. And in addition, here's another. Yeah, like say another couple bigger bits. There's a piece of, I believe this is parting blade. Yeah, it looks like it's, parting blade. Decent size parting blade. So I may have to do some experiments on this one to see what I can do if I can use it on my machine, because that's a fairly decent sized piece of metal there. I'll see what I can do. I'm almost curious if I could adapt this into use on the shaper, depending. So we'll see what happens with this guy. But yeah, it's just a really nice piece of tool steel. And finally in the box, sent me a few really nice taps. Yeah, these all US made taps. So and they're the spiral point, so the chips move forward. These 3, but anyway, that's thanks a lot, Anthony. I do appreciate you sharing your stuff with me. And then one other package that came in the mail as well. I got a note from Pierre and Philippe over in Montreal there, in Quebec, and nice letter they sent. And they sent me a box full of, it was kind of cool, they sent me a box full of paper towel. So, I mean, you can always use shop towels, right? Well, in the shop towels, packed nice and cleanly and, you know, safely, unlike what I have them loose in the box now. They sent me a pair of the machinist jacks that they were making. So, I mean, apparently they noticed on one of the videos a while back I'd mentioned I wanted to make some, just hadn't gotten to it yet. And so, I mean, these are some of the ones they were making a while back. I'll put a link to their channel and to the videos where they were making these in the description. So, yeah, that was just, I was rather surprised. So, thanks guys. A couple jacks, some of the, some of the extension riser blocks, as well as a couple more stable feet for sitting underneath it. So that was huge. Thanks guys, I do appreciate that. I will have to at some point make a nice case for them, because right now I just have the box, but maybe I'll do that on a video at some point down the road. Not sure if I'll try wood butchery again or plastic mangling, but we'll figure out some way of putting these in a nice contained box. I don't want, I mean, they're tools. They're going to get some dings and scratches and stuff, but I'd rather that be through normal use rather than carelessness or poor storage. So anyway, thanks Pierre, thanks Philippe, appreciate it. Thanks Tony for the shaper parts, and thank you Anthony for the extra tooling. That's awesome. I appreciate it. That being said, this video, what we're going to do is we're actually going to take this box of parts from Tony and start trying to finish off the shaper hardware. So there we go. The pointer and the knob actually clean up really nicely. So I'll just do up the bolts and the bolts here, clean them up, and then we'll start assembling these onto the machine. So now we're down to the point of replacing this knob here. It's actually a 5/16 Whitworth thread, but we're using the 1/4 Whitworth wrench yet again because of the British wartime emergency stuff. This one here is pretty straightforward. There we go. That will work just fine. One thing to note here is that the little set screw is missing for the for setting the dial, because it spins. We'll be making one of those this video as well. That'll be later on. So we do that, and then let's add our pointer indicator. Now looking at this, this will be interesting. Yeah, I can feel the lever arm slide down as I do that. So we'll take the nut off, take these washers off that were added later on, and we can add our pointer indicator. I've already done a little bit of tweaking on the indicator to make it conform to the RAM a little bit better. There we are. Yeah. Now we have our indicator. According to this, we are at about a 6.5 inch stroke. So the next step is, I guess I'll make a couple fasteners right back here. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. Yeah, there it is. This little bolt here is steel, working on steel, and that made a little bit of a gall into this the pivot lock. So I want to make one of those out of brass, as well as I need to make a little set screw to hold, or thumb screw, whatever, to hold the dial here, as well as on the handle here for the switch. They need the little set screw for there. Both this and this are number 2 British Association, so we'll make both of those out of brass. Well, we're going to start with a little handle for the switch, and turns out I was wrong. I assumed this was number 2 BA, and in fact it's actually 3/16 24 Whitworth. So we're going to use some of this material from a shelving unit that got salvaged. Just cut a small chunk off because it's more convenient to stick in the chuck that way than the other piece. All we need to do is take a little bit off, clean up the end, chamfer it, take a little bit off the outside diameter. I'm going to run a die over it, and then the what we're going to do is I'll use a hacksaw to put a slot in it, and we're just going to make it a flathead screwdriver driven screw. Wow, that must be either a really soft steel or maybe they're actually fairly decent taps. Who knows? Or dies rather. Granted, for the price, I highly doubt they're high-speed steel. I bet still bet you they're carbon. Yeah, that will work just fine. The little point is needed because there's actually a hole in the side of the shaft where the square shaft that this sits on is. I have, just about lost it in the pan. Again, I have no problem using a hacksaw and a lathe. I might get sometimes laughed at for it, but such is life. So just a quick touch up with the belt sander on the end, and they use the hacksaw to cut a slot, and we have our set screw for our switch. So I've come up against another little technical problem here. I have a number of these 1-inch die stocks that'll hold the 1-inch dies like I just used for making the set screw for the switch. However, the set of BA thread dies that I have are all 812 thousandths across, and they will not fit in the die stock. So I'm just going to use this little piece of tie rod end here to make an adapter so I can put these guys in one of these. So it'll just be a quick little buzz up just to make an adapter. Believe it or not, I actually did plan that. That's why I used this piece of scrap, because that is smaller than 13/16. Now what we'll do is we'll use the pushy tool. Again, I got this idea from John Mills. There we go. Excellent idea. I got it from John Mills. Double boost. If you've never, well, if you watch my channel, you've heard of him definitely. There we go. There's a little adapter. Almost looks like, yeah, one ring to bind them. Not quite. I actually don't even really wear my wedding ring much. I know I'm totally married, but between being a mechanic and a hobby machinist, I think it might be hazardous to my health. So what I'm going to do here is I just need to drill a hole in it so that the set screw can go all the way through, and then we can start making our thumb screw for our tool post. Alright, so now that we have our little adapter made up and it's sitting in there nicely, we're going to use this piece of 675 bronze, which will work just fine for our purposes. We're going to make the little thumb screw to hold that tool post indicator in place. I'll just take the pip off in the belt grinder. So there we go. One set screw for the tool post graduated dial. Now the next part we're going to make is the replacement for this steel nut that was up top to hold the tool post locking cam in place. Again, I don't want the steel on the steel because that's kind of what galled it up in the first place. One of the parts of it. Now this one is a 5/16 thread, but using the quarter British Whitworth wrench on it. So you do the same thing for this fastener here that we make of brass. However, quarter Whitworth is about 530 or so. Yeah, narrowest I'm getting is about 530 or so. So this piece that's nominally 5/16 is about 560. We need to take 30 thou off of this guy. So we'll do 15 thousandths aside. I'm just going to index off of the stock itself because it's hex. And yes, I know you're not supposed to just grip it by the sides. We're only taking a light cut. I'm not that worried about it. Okay, that's just scratching. All right. As they say, the proof is in the pudding. I'll call that one good. That will work just fine. That has about the same amount of slop as the original bolt did, so yep, we'll call that good. So what we're going to do is we'll face this end and then turn the journal back at 5/16 of an inch, or just a hair under, for 3/4 of an inch. There we are. All right, I like it. It actually came off. All right. Got the little pip in the center to get rid of, but that's not bad. Now, all I'm going to do is deburr it with a file, and then we'll be able to put it on the machine. So now these three fasteners can go in place. We'll start with our lock. Again, it's just this cam here is what actually locks the head in its angle. This screw here just keeps it from coming loose. So even snug is good, that's all it needs. But this way at least we have a brass surface on the steel surface so it won't mess up the shaft. We've also got our little sleeve here, or well, sleeve, our little set screw for this collar. Come on. So I'm trying to thread it left-handedly. I am not a southpaw. And there we are. So I'm happy with that. It clears, oh well, one of the dingle balls anyway. Okay, well I may have to shorten it. Okay, I need to adjust this. I'll be right back. Okay, slight adjustment was made. Back in the lathe that went and a little bit came off the back end of the knob. I guess it didn't have the 1/2 inch that I thought I did. Hey man, I'm only human, miracles cost extra. And that now clears beautifully. Alright. So, those two are dealt with. And then as far as this switch here, start the screw in the handle. And then there's a little hole in that shaft, as I say. What we're doing is we're aiming for that little hole. There we are. The next step is we have to repair the linkage for the table feed. It goes from the bull gear shaft here to the to the cross or the lead screw for the slide or the table slide. Yeah, that's going to mean we need to make a couple parts as well as repair one other part. So back to the lathe we go. So what we have is, this is part of the linkage that controls the cross slide feed. This mounts up to the, well, using a little bushing in here, mounts up to the end of the bull gear shaft. This shaft here used to go in here, and it's all kind of beat up, and holes and dings, and people have hammered on it, and it's just nasty. Now, the only tricky bit is that there's a 5/16 Whitworth thread at the end, very short, but that's really not that bad. That goes on to this little piece here, which then mounts up at the lead screw end. So I have a piece of 1/2 inch 4140 ground shaft, slides in nicely. We're just going to do a thread on the one end, then cut this end off. Yeah, and a little bit of snugging down, and that will stay put. I like it. Now, the simplest way to cut this off is I'm just going to cut it off with the either the hacksaw or the bandsaw, and then smooth the end off with the, well, face the end off here. There we go. There we go, one new link shaft. So the next step is to make a new one of these. This clobbered up mess is what was originally holding, well, originally to me when I got the machine, holding the mechanism for the table power feed to the bull gear shaft. We're going to have to make a new one of those. And, well, this bolt here was going to be part of a previous project as far as using for material. Then I realized that my logic was wrong at the time. So it's already sort of partially turned down. We're just going to, well, already been center drilled. This is going to be the base of the little stud that we're going to need, because the slot that it needs to go in is 682 thousandths wide, which this is a 9/16 or 5/8 rather, 625. It'll be close enough. And we'll just have to shave the head down to about 1/4 inch or so to fit in the slot. Other than that, we can turn it down and make our 5/16 Whitworth thread on the rest of it. Hmm, 308, close enough. So now just make a quick facing cut on this to clean it up and to chamfer it. There we go. I'm just going to take this over to the vise and finish it off by hand. So here we go, we have one more piece to the puzzle, because this here goes up against the, well, basically goes kind of like this. The bull gear rides right here. You got this little guy going through there, and that's where it pivots. And then this guy here goes through that slot on the bull gear and then sticks out this side. Yeah, I probably have a little extra long. I can always cut it off shorter. I just wanted to make sure I had enough material. I don't remember what the bolt that it came with looked like. So anyway, so we have that. We now need a nut to fit this guy over here. And so that will be 5/16 Whitworth as well. It will definitely need some significant deburring, but I'll probably just cut it off either in the hacksaw or the bandsaw, and at a little over 1/2 inch we'll face it and then drill it and tap it. Anyway, I've faced the other end, faced this side, chamfered it. Now we're going to drill it, and for that we need to go 5/16 Whitworth. And so we're going to go to the Zeus chart that Mr. David Taylor gave me. And where are we here? Tapping drills. BSF. British Standard Fine. Whitworth, here we go. 5/16 Whitworth. Core pitch depth. Effective. Oh, tapping drill. Here we go. Tapping drill. 5/16 is, well, they want a 6.5 millimeter drill, otherwise a 256 thousandths fractional. Just a hair over 1/4 inch, huh? And you know something? I'm feeling a little crazy or brave tonight, whatever. We'll see if this totally wrecks my day or if it was a success. I'm going to try power tapping. This is one of those really nice taps that Adrian from Aid's Bird Shop gave me. And let's turn our speed down. Let's see how this does. It was worth a try anyway. I just don't want to destroy my chuck nor the tap itself. Here we are, 5/16 Whitworth. It's coming all the way through. Now we still have a washer yet to make, and we're going to make it out of this piece here. Diameter outside isn't critical, just needs to be roughly 3/16 of an inch thick. The 5/16 hole through it. We're just going to use the diameter that's there. Hey, it actually worked. Wow, that's cool. I was seriously expecting that blade to break. So, right on. There we are. So that makes our washer. That makes the little washer for the feed mechanism. And I hear little man, so I should probably go deal with him. So I think we're going to have to break this into 2 pieces, simply because of all the stuff that needs to be done as the final last details. I mean, it seems like you have most of the big stuff together, and it's all the little bits, like, you know, the trim work on a house, right? So anyway, we're going to call it right there. And we'll pick it up next time with the carrying on with making the last little bits of hardware and fixing things. And then we'll be making chips in the next video. So Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks to everybody who's been along for this adventure. Thanks for all the comments. So yeah, we'll see you soon with part B of this video, and we'll get her wrapped up.